We hear a lot about education, especially here in the state of Oklahoma lately. And after the pandemic, education has taken more of a central focus for our politicians and our school districts and so forth. Educating visually impaired and blind students has really evolved in the last 30, 40 years. And today we're going to take a look at the education of blind students and visually impaired students. We're visiting the Oklahoma School for the Blind in Muskogee, and we're going to be talking with Lynn Cragg, who is the principal for the Oklahoma School for the Blind. We're going to take a tour of some of the classrooms, the dormitories. We're going to talk about the education of the students here. We're going to talk about the living with the dormitories and the different dorms that they have. Some are the older ones, some are newer. And we're going to talk about the activities, what they do for fun when they're not in class. So join us as we investigate and look into a little bit of a different educational system here compared to our public schools as we go through the School for the Blind in Muskogee, Oklahoma on this edition of Health and Information. Welcome back, and we'd like to first of all introduce to you the principal for the senior high school for the Oklahoma School for the Blind, Lynn Cragg. And Lynn, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for allowing us to invade your domain and show us some of the things that are going on to school here.
I'm glad to have you.
Now, when you have students who come in here, tell us a little bit about the qualifications that a student would have to have in order to be able to attend school here.
Well, they have to be diagnosed with a visual impairment, and that means 20/70 with best correction, or a field loss, of greater than 20 degrees. Unless they have a progressive eye disease where they may be better, have a better acuity than that, but then they're losing their vision. So that's pretty much the qualifications.
Okay, and what would you say would be the mission statement of the school here?
Well, our mission statement is to educate visually impaired and blind students and give them the same opportunities or similar opportunities that they can have at a public school, but also provide specialized instruction in expanded core curriculum.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about that expanded curriculum, because there are classes you have here that your typical public schools would not have.
That's correct. We have independent living skills, which teaches everything from dressing skills to eating skills to, and it goes on up to laundry, housekeeping, how to follow a grid pattern to when you're cleaning or using a vacuum cleaner. Then we have an apartment rotation that kids go through. By the time they're seniors, they usually complete a 6-week apartment rotation, which includes, they have to budget, they have to grocery shop, they have to fix their breakfast and dinner, and they have to clean their apartment. And then we have orientation and mobility. You see visually impaired people walking around with a long cane. They learn to use that. We teach Braille for students that need Braille. Assistive technology so that students can access computers and be able to do just about anything anybody else can do.
Okay, so when you hire a teacher, and you've taught here for many years before you became an administrator, what skills do the teachers have to learn to be able to educate the students?
Well, they have to learn Braille because sooner or later they will have a Braille student. They have to learn how to modify curriculum and maybe activities so that it is tactile, and they have the tactile images that they need to be able to be successful. We actually offer VI Institute here where we train teachers that are from across the state and our staff to be better able to do that.
Okay, now you have a different school week than a lot of the public schools do. You have a 4-day week?
Yes. Students come in on Sunday, and we have school from 8 to 4:10 Monday through Wednesday, and 8 to 3:15 on Thursday. And then they go home at 3:15 on Thursday, because we go as far as Lawton, Enid. We did go down toward McAllister or Durant. So we've got like routes that where parents meet us to pick up their students if they're on our routes.
Okay, so how would you rate, as far as education goes, somebody graduates from here, how do their test scores compare, let's say, to a typical public school on an ACT or an SAT score?
I think that we have students that can compete. In fact, several years ago, we had an Oklahoma scholar, and she did phenomenal on the ACT. And I mean, it's varying, because we have, all degrees of disabilities, just like they do in the public school. But we think we prepare them very well, especially if, they need Braille.
Okay, now we're in the classroom where they teach the children Braille, and there are two ways really to write Braille. There's a Braille machine, and then there's the old method, which is called the slate and stylus. And so tell us a little bit more about this room and the things that are done here.
Well, our kids, really middle school, high school students come in here that need to learn Braille. Our elementary classes teach Braille in their classrooms. But because the middle school and high school kids move from class to class, they don't get the good instruction in Braille. So they learn to read it, they learn to write it, and hopefully they, progress to where they can, that can be their main media.
So for people who don't know, Braille is basically composed of 6 dots.
It's a code. It's the 6 dots that are in different places on a Braille cell, and then you just type it. And then you go to the next line. That is the letters A through P.
So it's basically like a typewriter that does Braille. Except as you see here, she focuses on the key. There's 6 keys plus a space bar.
That's exactly right.
And each key represents 1 dot. And then now there are different grades, though, also, correct?
Right. Grade 1 Braille is simply the alphabet. When you get to grade 2 Braille, because if you had to write or type a book or emboss a book into Braille with just the alphabet, it would take volumes and volumes and volumes. I mean, even with the code and the short the contractions, it still takes a lot of volumes.
Which we'll see that in the library a little later on in the program.
But like there's an ST sign, there's an AR sign, there are short form words like HM is him. So they have to learn a lot. It's not just the alphabet.
So how many grades are there now?
It's really grade 1 and grade 2.
That's it. Okay. Now, before the Braille writers came along, they used something called the slate and stylus. And that you have those, one of those over here.
Yes.
The interesting thing that I always thought about this is, first of all, you write completely backward. Not many people use this anymore, do they?
No. It is great for, and then you have to turn it over, and then you have the same alphabet there. It's really good for taking notes, like but so many people use their phones and other technology today that, but to take quick notes, the slate and stylus was really a good tool. We just don't teach it that much.
Right. Now, one of the things that I have heard from some of the public schools is that the blind students who are actually going to school in public schools, the teachers are not happy with the Braille writers because of the noise.
Well, as you can tell, if you have one of those going in a classroom, then it is pretty loud. I had a student tell me that she was like a 5th grade student, and she said they made her go out in the hallway to use her Braille writer because it was just too loud. That doesn't send a very good message to kids.
No, and as we know, kids can be cruel. And then they further separate them because of that. I'm sure there's probably a lot more bullying and teasing that goes on because of that too.
That's what our kids say. That's what our kids tell us when they come. Most of the time when our kids come, they really blossom. They're able to do a lot of activities, which I think we're going to talk about.
We are.
They just really do so well because they don't feel different. They fit in.
They fit in. Okay, what else do we have in this room that is...
just kind of interesting. Legos made Lego blocks with the alphabet, which is really a good tool because they're really raised really nicely, and then you can take them up and down. And so for little guys with little fingers, these are a really good tool. This is like a peg slate, so you could actually teach someone to use the slate and stylus by pushing it down, because then you turn it over and there it is. But you can also use it just to teach the Braille because it gives a better texture and ability for them to feel it. This is an abacus, and it's just like paper and pencil for a Braille student that does math. You can add, subtract, multiply, divide, do fractions, just anything you can do on a calculator, you can do on one or more of those. This is a smart Brailler, and the really good thing about this for students that are learning Braille, as they type the letters, it will show up on the screen, but it'll also tell them what the letter is they're typing or the contraction, so that they get the audio feedback at the same time.
Now, as we look here in the Braille instruction room, the first thing here on there is the alphabet in the English, the standard one that we all knew and grew up with. And below each of that on the pink dots there, you see how the Braille letters correspond to the written and printed letters. And then in the middle here, we have a tactile flag. And you can actually feel the different components of the flag so that the students then can at least get an image in their mind of what the flag actually does look like, rather than just trying to describe to them what a star is or what how many the stripes. And then the Braille cells and the dots are numbered 1 through 6, as you see there on the wall. And this is how that they actually learn to read and to write and be able to do it tactilely. And that's why the dots are raised letters, and they can read them. And it's amazing to see how fast some of these people can really read a manuscript or a book. We're going to go to the library and show you some books and some other interesting things up there that help educate the students. Okay, we are in the middle school classroom. This is geography, and you'll see a lot of computers in here. But the reason that we wanted to come in here is there's a United States map, and I'm going to have Lynn explain this map.
Well, as you can see, it's raised, so and also the states come out so that you can learn to place them where they belong. And I'm pretty sure that the dots are the capitals of the state. So it's just a really great tool to help students learn the states, capitals. Kind of, you think Oklahoma's pretty flat, and then the mountainous regions, and then, of course, Alaska and Hawaii. So it's just another tool that we use so that our Braille kids can do the same thing as their sighted peers.
Okay, now we see here that we have a lot of computers. What kind of things can they do on a computer? Like say, what would a totally blind person do with a computer in this
Just about anything you can do.
Okay.
I mean, because of the pandemic, we had to go pretty much digital, so our kids have learned to use Google Classroom. They can use Word. They can surf the internet. We use the screen reader JAWS or Zoom Text for those that need, greater magnification. So they can do anything on the computer, even without using a mouse, because they know all the keyboard commands, and they're faster than I am. Okay, we are in the middle school science and math classroom, and so just like everything else, there's all kinds of tactile representations so that our Braille kids can understand. This one happens to be thermometer, and it has the different degrees of Fahrenheit and Celsius. Almost all of our classrooms have smart boards that the kids can be interactive with. It's not quite as good for Braille students because it's harder for them to be interactive with it, but our teachers can do a lot with the smart boards. Technology is huge because we teach our kids to be able to do just about anything that anybody else can do.
Yeah, and I see you've got a human skeleton in here for them so they can actually use tactile to learn the different parts of the body and the bones. And they got some fish in here that are three-dimensional. It seems like technology's pretty much taken over here as much as it has in the public schools.
Absolutely.
If not more.
Absolutely. A lot of our books can be on digital as well. Makes our kids, that way they don't have to carry around a large print book. So this is a typical large print textbook. This one's really good because it's in color and it's spiral and it's not quite as big and heavy, but as you can tell, it's way bigger than a regular book. And so our kids, they don't really like to use them that much, especially if they're in public school. But that's why they can get the book digitally, and that way they can use their iPads, because each of our students has their own iPad to use, and they use Google Classroom. They use the books. They just do just about anything with it.
Okay, now we're in the library, which is at the very top of the schoolhouse building. And what you see here is similar to what we saw with the maps before, other than you can't separate this. But here's the globe, and it's all tactile, so you can see the different levels, the different mountain ranges. And as you spin it around, you have Europe and Asia, Africa. And you can see how tall some of these mountain peaks are. But the nice thing about this is the students actually are able to feel this, and they can see the difference between sea level and how high mountain ranges and all are in different parts of the country. Okay, this is a typical Braille book that you would find in the library, and these are written here. So I'm going to have zoom up on this, but this is how they would look. And most people who have sight usually read Braille with their eyes, not their fingers. But this is a typical book, and you can see, if you look at it carefully, you can see actually the dots on both sides. So the raised dots are what's on here. The dots that are recessed are the raised dots on the other side of the page on here. Okay, now we're looking here at some more of the books here in the Braille library, and we got a Harry Potter series. Tell us about that series.
Well, we have all of them, and if anybody's read the Harry Potter series, I know they're pretty thick books, but for a Braille student, this Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is 13 volumes this size. So that's how much it takes to make Braille into the books.
So that's one book, because I'm not a Harry Potter.
That's one book. That's just one Harry Potter book.
So one Harry Potter book takes 13 Braille volumes to fit it all in. Okay, now we're in the older boys' dormitory, and this room here to my right is pretty much what they have. They have the bed, think of a curtain that goes across, and then there's a little desk, as you can see, for doing homework, and then their closet space is right straight ahead where they would put their clothing. And they have 8 of these rooms in this room of this dorm, and then there's another room down the hallway. Okay, now this room is a typical dorm room in the middle school boys' dorm, and they are different. You see, you have a little closet there by each bed, and then their study areas must be in the rec room now, then, because they used to be in each little room itself. Okay, now this is over in one of the newer dorms called Lowry Dorm, and this is the room for the high school girls. As you can see, they actually have the desk here, so they must study more than the boys do. And they have but there's only one girl per room, and there's 2 double rooms. Okay, so this is a typical room. Now, the next thing we're going to show you is the independent living apartment, where the students, as you heard earlier, take about 6 weeks through their senior year to learn independent living. So we're going to go see those. Okay, now we're in one of the independent living apartments. And what I'm going to do is just have Thomas kind of scan through here, the kitchen, little dining area, little living area, and then there's a bedroom and bathroom in each one. This is where the students who are seniors will be for 6 weeks a year for the semester, that they will be able to learn independent living, budgeting, grocery, cleaning, laundry, basically how to live independently when they are finished with school here. Okay, now this is the newer gymnasium, and the little snack bar area and the wrestling room. And then if you come in here, this is the actual gym room and basketball courts, and the bleachers kind of fold out from this wall over here on the right. Okay, now our last stop on our tour here this morning is going to be at the greenhouse, and I'm going to let Lynn explain the greenhouse.
This is our newest addition. We started with the greenhouse last year, and as you can see, I mean, they've planted from seeds. They have plants going. They've even harvested seeds from some of the plants that they're going to use next year. Classes come out and can schedule times to come out to the greenhouse. Our work study kids can come out and actually work and get paid to help with the greenhouse. And so it's really another way to help kids learn skills that will be good for jobs.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for taking your time to show us around today. And on the screen here at the finish of the program, we're going to have the contact information to reach the Oklahoma School for the Blind. If you have a student who you think would benefit from the education that they provide here, or if you are looking for a job and you want something challenging and fun and rewarding, the information will be on the screen for you to contact the people here at the Oklahoma School for the Blind. Thank you for your attention today. We appreciate the school allowing us to do the video, and we'll see you next time. I'm Dr. James Bislin for Health and Information.